much for joining Fireside Chat with Zondra. And yes, we are Fireside. I have a few of my really good friends that are here to have a discussion today about how to stay married in this new millennium and some of the challenges that are associated with social media as an example. And so let's go ahead and dive right in. Patsy, thank you so much for joining me. Please tell a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. I have been professionally in corporate world for about 25 years. And as of recently, I am taking a different avenue. I'm opening my own business. So I have been revenue cycle management. And for those who do not know what that means is medical billing, taking care of billing and ensuring the money comes in for healthcare organizations or providers or even pharmacists. And so now this is a whole new venture for me, but I'm excited and looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Patsy, for being here. Ms. Delondra.
Hello, Coach Zondra.
Hi.
My name is Delondra Hicks. I am a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. And I have been a hairstylist for 25 years. I love doing what I do.
And for you, Sharon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Sharon, and I actually flew in today from Chicago. I am the CEO and founder of I'm Possible Women's Empowerment Collaborative, so I'm an entrepreneur, mom of two amazing young men who are very grown now, but they're still my boys and my children, and a wife.
And then Miss Regina.
Hello, well, my name is Regina McGee, and first of all, I'm a wife and a mother, and I'm also a beauty and image consultant and an entrepreneur. In my corporate life, I also am in management, and so I'm just very happy to be here today, Zondra.
Thank you for being here. This is going to be fun, you all. When I asked you to come and share this afternoon with me, it was all about, teach me how to stay. Because I don't think I know how to stay. I've been married multiple times, and I don't know that I know what the true formula for success is. And so I figured if I could get some folks that's close to me here to talk about being married in the new millennium, but more so, how do you stay married and what are the effects of, for instance, I want to start straight out with social media accounts. Do your husbands, your significant others have, social media accounts and what is that, how does that feel, and is there the potential of stalking? What do y'all think about that?
That's interesting. I guess for someone that's been married 32 years.
32 years?
Yeah.
I can't add up 32 between 2 or 3. Okay, that's good.
32
good.
to the same one. But it is work in progress. Even after 32 years, we still daily work on it. So we still have date nights. We still carve out time to spend time together. Because we've noticed that starting this new business, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And sometimes he's going this direction, I'm going that direction. So we have to intentionally make time to spend with each other. Because to me, that is the key, is to keep that feeling that you had when you first met them. And that's not easy. That's not easy. It's something to work on. As for social media, he is not a social media person at all. He has an email. but that's about it. He's not very much into social media. But I think that social media probably has some good men out there.
Okay, very good. Anybody else with maybe a significant other that is on social media? Give me your perspective.
My husband is on social media. My husband and I have been married for 4 years, and I absolutely love him. I absolutely love him from the crown of his head to the sole of his feet. And when it comes to social media, let me back up. Let me just say that the ingredient for us is God. Mm-hmm. God is the creator of marriage. And no matter how we look at it, no matter how we think we can do things in marriage, God is the creator, and he's our source. He's the one that keeps us together. We are no longer two, we are one. And as a result, when it comes to social media, we don't allow, we are mindful of the things that we say on social media. We no longer just are individuals, even on social media, we are as one. So we are careful not to disrespect each other, not to disrespect ourselves. So that's very important when it comes to social media and being married, very important.
Yeah, I really love that. I mean, I think, Regina, you had something to say, so I really want to hear from you. And then I want to talk about, though, that there's another component to it that's outside of our own control. So did you have something you wanted to weigh in on? I saw you wanted to, like, jump in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question. So yes, my husband and I are both on social media. I think what was coming to my mind is that typically in a marriage, you have one that's kind of like the outspoken one, the one that's kind of in the limelight, and then you have this one that kind of sits in the back. And so because of the different businesses that I do, I'm usually out here and he's kind of sitting behind, and that can bring a lot of attention to you. And so it's just being careful and being sure, like Delondra said, that you're not disrespecting your spouse on social media. If they raise concerns, that you listen to them. And I want to say the ingredient for us from the beginning, because we're remarried and we're a blended family, is commitment. Because we didn't want to be divorced again, we committed to not even being able to bring up the word in our home. And so when you get into disagreements and arguments, you got to figure it out, because it's not an option.
That's really good. So, Sharon, you want to weigh in on it?
My husband is not on social media. He is not even technologically savvy. So when he tried to get on Facebook, it overwhelmed him. He got off immediately. He was on maybe a month. Mm-hmm. I'm on social media a lot, but I'm very careful as a whole, because my brand is everything to me. My integrity is everything to me. Most people know me as being Christian, so while I don't try to push that down their throat, anyone that's looking for a Christian planner or a Christian speaker, I usually will get that call. Hey, I know you're a Christian because of what you've posted on Facebook. I see the encouragement you give. Can you come speak? So I look at it from the premise of, before it's even about him and I, how do I want to be portrayed on social media? And then when it's time for our anniversary, I do bring up that, hey, it's my anniversary. We've been married 33 years this October. So it's like a long time. And I married him 4 times, never divorced him. We just kept renewing our vows. So he said we stop unless he gets to plan the 5th one. We're done, because he's not planning that one. But it's one of those, he can't plan it, no. But so I feel like I had to look at me first, the person, and that's the piece that I don't want to lose, even being married that long. It's just finding that balance with, being a couple and still being myself.
Okay, so then it sounds like that there is some formula here. And so I'm looking kind of for that recipe of success. And Patsy, I heard you say, we have a date night. The question that comes to mind, I got 2 questions. So I'm going to start first with the one that says, being mindful, right? But what do you do when somebody is stalking your significant other or you online? Because it happens. So what happens? How do you disclose that, or you just, how do you handle that?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've had it happen. I have gotten marriage proposals, and I'll get, oh my God, I want to get to know you more because I'm looking for a life partner. Okay, I plan weddings. I'd be more than happy to fix you up with someone. But if you really looked at my profile, you would see I have a husband. So since you haven't, when you find someone that you're willing to spend your life with, let me know and I'll help you plan it.
Okay, so it's pretty blunt.
I was very blunt. I was very blunt.
Is that how everybody handles this situation?
Yes, 9 times out of 10, they know whether you are married or not.
Exactly.
If they went so far as to even, basically inbox you or even message you, they they already know whether you're single or married. And if they can be that direct and disrespectful, well, then I can be direct enough to respect myself enough to say, you already know that I'm married.
Right.
Stay. In fact, you are at this point deleted. Oh, you're blocked.
Definitely blocked.
Okay.
I think that's a protection, because even if you put your status, you have your status as married. If you're doing videos, you have your ring. If you're in office, you have pictures of your husband, of your family. So that you're letting people know, okay, don't cross this line because this is what I have. So I think that it's making it known, letting people know. And if they're really stalking, then I would share that with my significant other, because they would need to know.
Yes.
That's good. Did you have something you want to say, Gina? I just felt like you wanted to. You always have something to say, Gina Mina.
I just want to say, I think what it is it's known, right? It's on all of our statuses. But the problem is we live in this entire culture and climate that really does not respect marriage any longer. And so I have to respect my marriage whether or not the person chooses to or not. For me, I like your term. I do full disclosure. My Facebook account is on multiple devices. Number one, I don't even know if the message is going to pop up while he's at home, and he may see it anyway. And so I opt for disclosure. I make sure that if someone approaches me before I dismiss them, he knows and he's aware, so that he can see how I responded, so he can then in turn see that I'm respecting our marriage and our boundaries even when I'm not with him.
That's really good.
Welcome to Presidential Business Center, where we give your business a professional image. Let me show you around. We have office space available to accommodate 1 to 20 people. And look at this amazing conference room. Wouldn't you like to have your meetings in here? We have various office spaces to meet your business needs, like this one. Need a little break? Let me show you into our break room. We have complimentary beverages available. Enjoy coffee with your guests. Wouldn't you want to be in this office with this amazing view? Come on, let's check out somewhere else. Need a change of scenery? We have multiple common areas to meet with your guests. We even have part-time offices available as well. But let me show you something really grand. Even this office could be yours. Come see me soon. Presidential Business Center, Addison, Texas.
I really like that you all have thought this thing through, and that there are boundaries and there's full disclosure, and you shut people down, just shut them down one way or the other. I think that's really good. I would imagine that the viewers are kind of thinking about, okay, that all sounds good. It sounds real rosy. But how do you even manage conflict? What's the conflict resolution? If you've been married 33, 32, 4, 7, y'all been married, between all of y'all, almost 100 years. But, well, if you add in mine, I promise you it's over 100 years. So, I'm thinking about conflict. How do you really manage conflict? And I'm sure the folks that are out here watching us would love to know. You've said a lot of great things, but when it comes to managing through conflict, how does that really work? Because I know that's when I feel like, when conflict comes, I'm like, I'm out. I ain't really got to, I'm out. It's time for me to go. And probably a lot of people that are watching feel the same way. So I'm wondering, Gina, tell me, what's the secret sauce with conflict?
Well, okay, so I don't believe all conflict is bad. It can be good, right? It just depends on how you deal with it. I just know I can be a little, impetuous. I'm usually the rebel. And he is the peaceful, loving guy, really doesn't like the conflict, and I know this. And so you have to be careful not to take advantage when you know that that's the case. So it's taking your mate's feelings and really getting to know your mate too, right? We know that sometimes we may not be able to address this conflict right now. We may need to let it ride. We may need to wait for that time. And actually in my mind, I was envisioning, I have letters in my underwear drawer. that he's written me. I know it's kind of crazy to say that, but I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but he's written me letters when he's felt like he couldn't express himself fully to me, or maybe I just wasn't at a point where I was ready to listen to his opinion, because we know we are always right. And so sometimes he's had to write it in letter form, and then when he can express his feelings in letter, and I can actually feel what he's feeling come off the page, then it's kind of like, okay, girl, you got to pull that back.
Okay, now that's really neat.
Yeah.
Now that's really neat. I mean, I can get with that, long as the letter and the walk match. Because, you write a letter and then still be walking the same way, and I'll be like, did you? What? Oh, okay. So that's awesome, though. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, Sharon, tell me about you and conflict, and how do you resolve that? How does that happen in your world?
That's a good one. In my world, I've learned that part of the conflict, there's post 19 years or pre-19 years and post-19 years. Our first 19 years, we loved to hate each other, but we hated to not love each other. We fought so much. We split up our first 5 years, every single year, because we just had so much conflict. And it wasn't until we had just had enough, and our 19th year, we almost said we were just completely done and decided to do a retreat. And it really taught me a lot about submission. And my issue was losing my mom and my grandmother at a very young age. I didn't have much direction because my mother was a very young mom. So I didn't get, and my grandmother was very protective. So I didn't get that upbringing where I was taught how to be a wife. So I was like, I'm going to be independent. I can do my own thing. I don't need you. It's like, I got my own job, got my own money, keep messing with me because I got the kids. I just needed you to get them. I had that attitude, and I really had to change all of that because I was so just caught up on being, this independent woman, to the point where I bought a car. He came home. Where's your car? I didn't even see it. I didn't even know you were home. It's parked right out front. I bought a car.
So then with that then, did that create conflict in the marriage?
It created even more. So I kept feeding it even more, even though I was trying to find myself in the process, because I felt like I was losing myself trying to accommodate something that I didn't understand. And we were both very young. And he came from a very unique situation too, where his parents separated. So we didn't have a lot to work from, other than we just knew we loved each other. And we decided to do this retreat, and I learned what godly submission was. Not submission, but godly submission. And it really helped me to start working on, I can't be this for him, because he's this, I'm this. But if I don't have a clue what I'm supposed to do, he can't move. So if I'm not a good support system for him, no wonder we're dysfunctional. So I've learned that, even though, and I mean, it's still a journey. I mean, we still have conflict. We have a lot of conflict because we're just entering different stages in our lives now with retirement. And I'm entering into entrepreneurship. So we're two totally differently, that ship's passing in the night. But now I've learned that I don't have to feed into it, even though he's used to it. So now I'm teaching him that when I'm lowering my expectations and setting boundaries. So I stop fighting. And as hard as it is, even if I have to go and cry by myself, I will go and just do my own thing. And eventually he comes back. And my only issue, though, is that he never says he's sorry. But he just thinks everything's okay because I'm not mean. Because to him, it's me being mean. It's me being aggressive. So I'm learning to work on me, to understand how I can be a better person. And in turn, maybe the way, it's almost like, let's say if you live a certain way, people can see it. Maybe that can be a way that, we can then find a way to resolve the conflict. So I just stopped fighting him altogether.
But can I ask you something, Sharon?
Yes.
So you said godly submission, which we're not preaching. This is not a preaching session. But if you have godly submission and you know exactly what you're doing is in line with your values, whether he acts up or not, should it make that big of a difference? Whether he accepts it or not.
So the reality is I'm still human. And it's a teaching moment for me, and that's why I say I still have to work on me.
Yeah.
Because my temperament is still
that
what
makes it.
I'm still the crazy.
That makes it difficult.
Yeah.
That really does.
Well, I tell you what, this is an interesting conversation, and I'm hearing all of the perspectives, and I think it's like just amazing. But I also hear this individuality coming through. And I'm wondering, I think that everybody is born in this world as an individual, and we usually die out of here probably, as an individual. There are times when, something catastrophic takes place and a whole car, there's fatalities. But I just mean in general. So it seems like that I hear just this undertone of individuality, that it still remains. And I'm wondering, how does that work? Because I thought, I heard you clearly say you come to be one. How do you keep that individuality and at the same time be submissive and at the same time be one with another that may not even think, act, do, respond like you? How does that work? Who wants to be on first? Talk to me about this.
Wow, this is really in my lap over here. I can relate to Regina, and I can relate to Sharon. Very strong-willed woman, because this is my second marriage. In my first marriage, I had to deal with things that forced me to be in the forefront of the marriage. In other words, I had to be in charge. I didn't want to be, but I had to be. As a result, I'm in my second marriage. I'm in my second marriage. And as a result of how I had to be in my first marriage, I struggled because I was saying, okay, I'm in charge of me. I have a 22-year-old daughter, and we were already a family. So I was saying, I got this. Going to buy a car, I would go and buy a car. I didn't have to ask anyone other than God. And it was so wrong of me. So now I'm in the second marriage. And my husband is a real husband. So one day we had conflict. We had conflict.
With the real husband, right?
Yes. With the real man. And he told me, he said, number one, you are not just your own. He said, we are one. And he said, he came and stood beside me. He said, look at my shoulders and look at yours. He said, my shoulders are broader than yours. God did not create you to carry the weight. He said he created me to carry the weight. He said, you are wanting to wear these shoes that I have on, but he didn't create you to wear the shoes of the man. He said, you want to be in charge when you want to be in charge, and then you want to be the wife when you want to be the wife. He said, no. He said, we're going to work through this together. He said, and I'm going to help you with your place. And I was saying, my God. I was mad. I was mad. In fact, I remember even telling him, we're not going to even sleep in the same bedroom tonight. He said, oh, yes, I am. He said, and I'm going to hold you tight. I'm going to squeeze you just as hard as I can. We're going to work through this. And I said, I cried. I cried because I had to ask God to forgive me, and I had to ask him to forgive me. He said, so, and I say this because so many men struggled. They struggle in that because sometimes we don't allow them to be the man. We want to allow them to be in charge. We want to allow them to be the head. And God created them to be the head, no matter how we look at it.
I love that. Honestly, and I want to hear from you, Patsy. I love what you're saying because I think, the new millennium, Let's just take the new millennium. You know, we are women on the move. We have professional corporate jobs. We don't stay at home. We're not a stay-at-home wife. There are some people that are fortunate enough to be, and that's a beautiful thing. But we literally are, you know, managing, you know, our careers, and we are literally, you know, birthing new businesses, and we're, you know, aspiring entrepreneurs and developing things. And because you're doing that, it takes a certain amount of leadership. But what happens is, what I hear you saying is that leadership blends into your relationship, and it's out of pocket. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. So really, this is all about, you know, knowing that yes, you do have to position yourself as a leader in the community, and you have to position yourself as a strong, aspiring entrepreneur. But when you come with your husband, significant other, then you become one, and then there is no room for it. Where to?
Dude, I agree 110%. My husband once told me, when I came home from work and I was still in that moving and shaking role, he said, "Excuse me, I am not on your team and you are not at work." And I was like, "You're right. You're right. This is our home." And sometimes we as women, especially due to circumstance, it could be upbringing. In my case, my mom died when I was 12. I had a sister 10, and I had a little brother 5. I was the oldest. So I was the one who took care of this and took care of that and helped my daddy and did this and did that. So for me, it was a struggle balancing now that I have a husband, a head, that I didn't need to do all of that like I did before. I didn't have to take the lead and handle every little thing. I think that was probably our biggest conflict is that I had to let go. I have to let go because honestly, emotionally, I do not believe that we were made to carry that as women. And I am not saying that takes away our independence and who we are as women. We are equal. We make decisions together. We are partners. But still, you still have a head. And that's with any job, any relationship. You always have somebody that, you know, holds the rein. And so we have worked on that, and we continue to work on that, and we daily work on that. One of the things is when we do have conflicts, and we have them probably maybe every day, we try to follow the scripture, don't let the sun set with you in a provoked state. So whether he wants to hear it or not, or whether if I want to hear it, we sit and we talk.
Yes.
One time we had to get up because we had a knockdown drag out. And we went to bed. He went there, I went there, and he said, "No, we need to handle this before we go to bed." And so we got up, we continued the knockdown drag out because I wanted him to see my point.
Right. Don't we always want them to see our point? So Patsy, thank you for that, because I too agree. So, you know, I want to tell you all, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It's been such a pleasure, and I really love that you guys have been so extremely transparent and telling us about your life, you know, being married in the new millennium, and how do you stay married? Because maybe one day I'll be married and I can stay married in this new millennium.
What a lucky man.
Who's to say, like, speak it into existence, right? But thank you so very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And so until we meet again, thank you for joining Fireside Chat with Zondra. And as always, be the best you. Peace.
I've had this problem.
Big problem.
I really needed
A good marketing service.
And I kept searching.
and searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one that has all the things on my list.
But I finally did it.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
If you were looking for one as well,
look no further.
Here's a really good one.
Just use mine.
Use mine.
I'm very satisfied.
Definitely recommend.
Problem gone.
thank you.